What's going on YouTube? Alright, you clicked on this video, it was because you're interested in the Canon RF15-30 f4.5 to 6.3, so let's go ahead and dive into this right now. Starting off with price, you're looking at $549 on Amazon, Adorama, and B&H. It was $549.99 on Best Buy and Canon. Now, the construction of this lens, including the focus and control ring, is fully plastic. It does have a metal mounting ring, and there is no weather sealing gasket. The filter thread is 67 millimeters. There is an autofocus / manual focus switch, as well as an image stabilization switch. And like I mentioned, the mounting ring is metal with no weather sealing. The aperture goes like this. So basically I went from 15, 20, 24, 28, and 30. It goes 15 is f4.5 to f22. 20 millimeters is f5 to f25, 24 millimeters is f5.6 to f29, 28 millimeters is f6.3 to f32, and 30 millimeters is the same, f6.3 to f32. Now, I did the minimum focusing distance the same way as the aperture, so 15 millimeters is 5.25 inch, 20 millimeters is 8.5 inches, 24 millimeters is 9 inches, 28 and 30 is 9.25. The image stabilization works well in video, especially if you use this lens for vlogging. While it won't replace in-body image stabilization, I think with a little bit of stabilization in post, you should get a decent image. As for photos, it works great, and you shouldn't have any problem holding it steady at around 1/30th of a second for photos. So if you're hand holding, you should be okay. Now moving on to the lens test. So at 15 millimeters, we're starting off at f4.5. We do see a lot of barrel distortion and vignetting. The center is sharp and the corners are decent, but there is some purple color fringing on highly contrasting edges. Stopping down to f10, the whole image overall sharpens up and the vignette disappears, but there is still color fringing on contrasting edges. At f18, softness due to diffraction kicks back in and softens the image. So as far as the color fringing goes, you really kind of have to punch into the image to really see that, but just keep that in mind. And at 20 millimeters, we go ahead and start off at f5. At f5, we still see some barrel distortion and vignetting. The center is still sharp, as well as the corners, but the color fringing still stays present at 20 millimeters. At f10 again, we see the whole image sharpen overall and the vignetting disappears. And at f20, the softness due to diffraction kicks back in. At 24 millimeters, we're at f5.6. We do still see vignetting and color fringing, although the distortion now appears to be slightly pin cushioning. The center is still sharp and the corners are decent. At f11, the image is sharp overall and the vignette is gone. At f20, softness kicks back in due to diffraction. I grouped 28 and 30 millimeters together on this one because they both have the same aperture starting out, and they're both pretty similar. I mean, they're really not too far off. So 28 and 30 at f6.3, we still have pin cushion distortion and vignetting, as well as slight color fringing, although it's not as bad as the wider focal lengths. At f11, the vignette is gone and the image sharpens up overall, and at f22, the softness due to diffraction kicks back in. I didn't really see too much color fringing, so that's why I said it's not as bad as the wider angles of this lens. As far as the bokeh goes, there really isn't much in the way for bokeh as the aperture comes stock at f4.5. You'll get smaller bokeh balls, but not much to write home about, although the bokeh does look nice for this lens. Sun stars, if you enjoy doing long exposure photography, you won't get very spectacular sun stars, but you will get some pretty decent 14-point stars, but they do kind of seem blotchy at best. I threw this in there because I figured there's probably going to be some people that ask about real estate photography. So like I said, am adding this in for anyone interested in this lens for real estate photography purposes. I think that this could be a decent lens. You will have to battle the barrel distortion, but you'll also have a decent zoom range if that's your thing. So meaning if you want to take some more detailed shots with this lens, you won't have to really swap lenses. I've only done a couple of real estate gigs and mostly just brought a 14 mil, but I think this would be nice to have the 15, which I think is still pretty wide enough. And then you can also zoom it into 24 or 30 mil and you should get some pretty decent detailed shots. As far as bright lights go, in my testing, the lens holds up pretty well against bright lights as I didn't get much sun flaring and holds contrast pretty well at the pointed light. So take that into account as well. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. I will say this lens I think would be a good lens for Canon to package into a bundle. So maybe if you bought like an R8 or an R10, or maybe if maybe if they're probably going to discontinue the RP at some point, but even if you want to go ahead and maybe try to push out more sales, I think if you did this lens and the like EOS RP or EOS R, I mean, it's a pretty decent lens for what it is. I don't really see a whole lot of use case scenario for it for like, I mean, obviously vlogging. I think you, like I said, you can get away with real estate photography, street photography for sure. Landscape photography, I think, is another thing. As far as portraits go, I don't really see this being a very good portrait lens, especially with the aperture range that what it is. If you wanted to, you could probably use it in a pinch, and I think you should get some pretty decent results, especially if you're doing like natural light photography, if you're not in like a studio or something. If you want to do like family portraits, or if you're doing like lifestyle photos, I think this would be okay. But I mean, even at 24 mils, I mean, you're at f5, so you don't really get too much bokeh blur or background blur. I mean, it's gonna have a lot of stuff in focus, but I mean, if you shoot it like wide and your subject doesn't have really like anything behind them, I think you should be able to get some pretty okay-ish backgrounds. I wouldn't really use this for like astrophotography. I wouldn't use it for portraits. I mean, as far as a vlog lens goes, I think this is pretty good. I don't ever really know when you would ever want to zoom it in for vlogging at 24, 28, or 30, but maybe you just want to bring one lens, do some vlogging, and then also grab some static shots or whatever. I think that's okay. I think real estate, street photography, and landscape photography is probably what this lens was designed for, or like architectural. I think you could get some pretty decent like long exposures and stuff with this, depending on what you like to do. But as far as like an everyday lens, I don't necessarily think that this would be like a super fantastic lens for pretty much anything other than real estate, landscape, or vlogging with. So there's that. For the price point, I don't necessarily think that I would go out of my way to purchase this lens just because of the aperture range. Although I will say having the 15 to 30 range is pretty nice for zoom, so it's a give or take. Like I said, I think if Canon were to bundle this lens specifically with like an R8, an R10, an R7, maybe even like an older R or RP, just to kind of maybe push more sales before it like they get rid of it or exit 86 that thing off the list, I think that would be pretty good. I think that, I mean, especially because you get the 24 to 105 or the 24 to 205 or whatever it is, or the 24 to 250 or whatever that lens is. Like, those are pretty decent, especially for a lot of things, but I think this would be more like a niche lens. So it is what it is. Anyways, hopefully you guys liked this video. If you did, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If you didn't like this video, also give it a thumbs up. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons. I'm Jordan, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.